In the heart of Jaipur, wedding bells rang through palace walls as a young groom tied the sacred Mangal Sutra around his bride's neck. Hours of celebration, thousands of guests, and centuries-old traditions blessed their union. The couple smiled, exchanged garlands, and took 7 sacred rounds around the holy fire. Their families beamed with pride. This was the perfect Indian wedding everyone dreams of. But before the sun could rise on their first day as husband and wife, those same hands that had gently placed sindoor in her hair would commit an act so horrific that it would shock even hardened police officers. In a matter of hours, love turned to rage, and a sacred bond became a death sentence. What secret could be so devastating that it would turn a loving groom into a cold-blooded killer within hours of saying, "I do"? Welcome to True Crime Journal HQ. Thanks to all our viewers and subscribers for your support. Stay with us for daily update on the most shocking true crime stories. Don't forget to subscribe. Nihar Sharma was born into a traditional Rajasthani household in Ajmer, where the scent of incense and the sound of morning prayers filled their modest home. Her father, Ramesh Sharma, worked as a government clerk, while her mother, Sunita, devoted herself to raising their only daughter, according to age-old customs. From childhood, Nihar learned that a girl's greatest achievement was to become the perfect Betty, obedient, skilled in household work, and respectful to elders. Every morning she would wake up before dawn to help her mother prepare breakfast, then rush to school with her books wrapped in newspaper. Her parents sacrificed greatly to give her an education, believing that a well-educated daughter would attract better marriage proposals. Nihar excelled in her studies, particularly in literature and arts. She dreamed of becoming a teacher, inspiring young minds just as her favorite professor had inspired her. During college festivals, she would participate in cultural programs, her graceful dance moves earning applause from audiences. Her friends often commented on her gentle nature and infectious smile. But in conservative Rajasthani society, a woman's dreams often took second place to family expectations. Nihar's parents constantly reminded her that education was important, but marriage was her ultimate destiny. "Beta, study well so you can be a good wife and mother," her mother would say, while teaching her to make perfect rotis. As Nihar approached her 20th birthday, relatives began dropping hints about suitable boys from respectable families. Her parents started collecting photographs of potential grooms, discussing dowry amounts in hushed tones. Nihar felt the weight of their expectations pressing down on her shoulders. She knew her role was to smile, agree, and trust her parents' choice. Everything changed when Nihar moved to Delhi for her master's degree. Away from the watchful eyes of Ajmer's conservative society, she experienced freedom for the first time. In the bustling corridors of Delhi University, she met Rohit Kapoor, a charming economics student with dreams of starting his own business. Their friendship blossomed into love over late-night study sessions and walks around India Gate. Rohit was everything her parents would disapprove of. He belonged to a different caste, came from a modest background, and believed in modern relationships where couples made their own decisions. Despite knowing the consequences, Nihar found herself drawn to his progressive thinking and genuine affection. After months of secret courtship, they decided to marry without their family's consent. One winter morning in Delhi, with 2 college friends as witnesses, Nihar and Rohit exchanged vows at a simple court ceremony. For a brief moment, she felt liberated from the chains of tradition. But reality crashed down quickly. Rohit's business ventures failed repeatedly, leading to financial stress and constant arguments. His modern ideals crumbled under pressure, and he became controlling and abusive. Within 8 months, their love story turned into a nightmare of emotional manipulation and broken promises. When Nihar finally gathered courage to leave him, Rohit refused to grant her a divorce. He threatened to expose their marriage to her family, knowing it would destroy her reputation forever. Trapped and desperate, Nihar returned to Ajmer with her secret buried deep within her heart. Her parents noticed her changed demeanor, but attributed it to academic stress. They resumed their search for a suitable groom, completely unaware that their daughter was technically already married. Nihar lived in constant fear, knowing that one phone call from Rohit could shatter her family's honor and her own future. Each time her mother showed her a new proposal, guilt consumed her. She wanted to confess but couldn't bear the thought of disappointing her parents or becoming the subject of neighborhood gossip. In her mind, she reasoned that if she could just get Rohit to agree to a quiet divorce, she could start fresh with a clean slate. Have you ever kept a secret from your family because you feared their reaction? Let me know in the comments. If you've ever kept a secret from your family out of fear, you know how dangerous silence can be. Don't stay silent here. Subscribe so you never miss the truth behind tragedies like Nihar's. And if you don't, drop a comment explaining why her story doesn't matter to you. Little did Nihar know this secret would soon become a matter of life and death. Arjun Malhotra belonged to one of Jaipur's most respected Marwari families, where business acumen flowed through generations like royal bloodlines. His grandfather had built their textile empire from scratch, starting with a small shop in the old city and expanding it into a multi-crore enterprise that supplied fabrics across Rajasthan. Growing up in a joint family system, Arjun learned that reputation was everything. His father, Suresh Malhotra, would often remind him, "Beta, Izzat once lost can never be regained. Our family name is our most precious asset." These words shaped Arjun's entire worldview, making him extremely conscious of public perception and social standing. At 28, Arjun had proven himself a capable businessman. He handled the company's modern expansion while respecting traditional values that his family held dear. His colleagues described him as sharp-minded but rigid in his beliefs. He believed that women should be protected and cherished, but within clearly defined boundaries of Indian culture. Arjun's social circle consisted of other business families who shared similar conservative values. During community gatherings, he would often express his views on marriage. It was a sacred bond between families, not just individuals. He firmly believed that a wife should come to her husband's house with complete transparency and purity. His mother, Kavita Malhotra, had been searching for the perfect daughter-in-law for 3 years. She wanted someone who would uphold their family traditions, respect elders, and enhance their social prestige. Arjun trusted his mother's judgment completely, believing that parents' experience in choosing life partners was superior to young people's emotional decisions. Despite his modern business approach, Arjun held deeply traditional views about women's roles in marriage. He expected his future wife to be honest, loyal, and dedicated to family welfare above personal ambitions. In his mind, any deception in marriage was equivalent to betraying the sacred trust between families. The Malhotra and Sharma families were introduced through a mutual acquaintance at a business conference in Jaipur. When Suresh Malhotra mentioned his search for a suitable bride, his friend immediately suggested Nihar's family. "Ramesh Sharma ki beti bahut sundar aur sanskari hai," he said, praising Nihar's beauty and traditional values. Initial discussions happened over phone calls between the mothers. Kavita Malhotra was impressed by Nihar's educational background and the family's respectful manner. After exchanging photographs and basic family information, both families agreed to meet formally at the Sharma's home in Ajmer. The first meeting followed traditional protocols perfectly. Nihar served tea and snacks while maintaining appropriate distance from Arjun. She answered questions about her interests, cooking skills, and future expectations with grace and modesty. Arjun was immediately struck by her gentle demeanor and cultured speech. Over the next 2 months, the families arranged 3 more supervised meetings. Arjun and Nihar had limited private conversations, mostly discussing general topics like career goals and family values. Nihar appeared to be everything Arjun's family desired: respectful, educated, and committed to traditional marriage roles. Both families were eager to proceed quickly. The Malhotras were impressed by the Sharmas' honesty about their financial situation and reasonable dowry expectations. The Sharmas felt grateful to find such a prestigious family willing to accept their daughter. Wedding preparations began immediately after the formal engagement ceremony. The entire business community in Jaipur was talking about this perfect match. Friends and relatives praised both families for finding such compatible partners for their children. The engagement period was filled with shopping trips, ritual ceremonies, and excited planning. Neither Arjun nor Nihar raised any concerns about their compatibility, and both families interpreted this silence as contentment and agreement. Do you think arranged marriages work better than love marriages? Share your thoughts below. Every time we ignore stories like this, another one slips into the shadows. Subscribing means you're standing against the silence. If you don't, I challenge you. Tell us in the comments why you'd rather turn away. But neither family could have predicted the storm that was building beneath the surface of this perfect match. The Malhotra Sharma wedding was the talk of Jaipur's social circle for months. Set against the magnificent backdrop of Hotel Raj Palace, the three-day celebration began with the Mehendi ceremony, where Nihar's hands were adorned with intricate henna designs. Female relatives sang traditional folk songs while applying turmeric paste during the haldi ritual, blessing the couple with prosperity and happiness. The Sangeet night transformed the palace courtyard into a stage of pure joy. Arjun's cousins performed choreographed Bollywood numbers, while Nihar's side responded with graceful Rajasthani folk dances. The groom himself surprised everyone by joining a Bhangra performance, his usual reserved demeanor replaced with infectious laughter. Nihar watched from the decorated stage, her eyes sparkling with genuine happiness as she clapped along to the beats. Over 800 guests attended the main wedding ceremony. Business associates, political connections, and extended family members filled the ornate hall decorated with marigold flowers and red roses. The Shehnai music echoed through marble corridors as priests chanted Sanskrit verses. Arjun arrived on a white horse, accompanied by a grand Bharat procession complete with dol players and dancing relatives. During the sacred Sat Fair, Arjun and Nihar walked around the holy fire 7 times, each circle representing a lifelong promise. His hand remained gentle on hers as they took vows of protection, loyalty, and mutual respect. When he tied the Mangal Sutra around her neck, elderly aunts wiped tears of joy. The moment he filled her mang with vermilion, camera flashes captured what appeared to be perfect marital bliss. Guests couldn't stop praising the match. "What a beautiful couple," whispered business partners. "Both families are so lucky," commented relatives. The lavish dinner featured authentic Rajasthani cuisine, dal bati churma, gatte ki sabzi, and traditional sweets that had guests asking for recipes. Nihar's parents beamed with pride as they performed the bidai ceremony, officially sending their daughter to her new home. Arjun's mother welcomed her with arti and tilak, promising to treat her like her own daughter. The newlyweds touched elders' feet, seeking blessings for their future together. Throughout the celebrations, Arjun appeared completely smitten. He helped Nihar with her heavy lehenga, ensured she was comfortable during lengthy rituals, and smiled warmly whenever their eyes met. To observers, he embodied the ideal Indian husband, protective, caring, and devoted. The photographer captured hundreds of moments, the couple laughing during games, sharing sweets and posing with family members. These images would later serve as haunting reminders of how quickly happiness can transform into horror. Have you attended a big fat Indian wedding like this? Tell us about your experience. This looks like a fairy tale, but we know how quickly joy can turn into horror. Subscribing ensures you'll never be blindsided when truth hides behind celebrations. And if you refuse to subscribe, explain in the comments. Why ignore the warnings hidden in real-life tragedies? As the last guest departed and the newlyweds entered their suite, no one could imagine that within hours, this fairy tale would turn into a nightmare. The hotel suite was a masterpiece of romantic decoration. Rose petals carpeted the marble floor, candles flickered on every surface, and jasmine garlands hung from the crystal chandelier. The bed was adorned with fresh marigolds arranged in heart patterns, while traditional Rajasthani mirrors reflected the warm golden light throughout the room. As Arjun closed the door behind them, he turned to find Nihar standing motionless near the window, still dressed in her heavy red lehenga. Her hands trembled slightly as she stared out at the city lights of Jaipur. The confident bride who had smiled through hours of ceremonies now appeared fragile and distant. "Nihar, are you all right?" Arjun asked gently, moving closer. "You've been quiet since the bidai." She flinched at his touch, her breathing becoming shallow and rapid. Arjun noticed her eyes were filled with unshed tears, a stark contrast to the joy she had displayed just hours earlier. He attributed her behavior to wedding exhaustion and the natural nervousness of a new bride. "It's normal to feel overwhelmed," he said softly. "We have our whole life ahead of us. There's no rush for anything." But Nihar's distress only intensified. She began pacing the room, her heavy jewelry jingling with each anxious step. She would start to speak, then stop abruptly, wrapping her arms around herself as if trying to contain some internal storm. Arjun's concern grew into suspicion. This wasn't typical bridal shyness. Something was deeply troubling his wife. "Nihar, you're scaring me. What's wrong? Did someone in my family say something hurtful?" The question broke her resolve. Nihar sank onto the decorated bed, her elaborate dupatta falling around her shoulders like a crimson waterfall. Tears flowed freely down her cheeks, smudging her carefully applied makeup. "Arjun, I need to tell you something," she whispered, her voice barely audible above the air conditioning's hum. "I should have told you before, but I was terrified." His heart began racing. In Indian marriages, secrets were poison that could destroy entire family reputations. "What is it, Nihar? Whatever it is, we can handle it together." She looked up at him with desperate eyes. "I was married before." The words hung in the perfumed air, like a death sentence. Arjun's face went blank, processing what he had just heard. In conservative Rajasthani society, a woman's previous marriage, especially one hidden from her new family, was considered the ultimate betrayal. "What do you mean?" he asked, his voice strangely calm. "In Delhi, during my master's degree, it was a love marriage that my family didn't know about. We had problems, and I left him, but—" Her voice broke completely. "We never got divorced officially." The confession shattered the romantic atmosphere like glass. Arjun stood frozen, staring at the woman he had just promised to protect and cherish. The sacred Mangal Sutra around her neck suddenly felt like a mockery of everything he believed about marriage and family honor. In that moment, the weight of societal expectations, family reputation, and personal betrayal crashed down on him. The perfect bride his family had chosen, the woman he had fallen for during their brief courtship, was technically another man's wife. What would you do if your partner revealed such a secret on your wedding night? Was Nihar wrong to hide this? Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. If you are enjoying this content, drop a comment with "I'm still here." Let's see who is still watching. But Arjun's reaction to this confession would be far more extreme than anyone could have imagined. For several minutes, Arjun remained completely still, as if his mind was struggling to process the magnitude of Nihar's revelation. The silence stretched between them, broken only by her quiet sobs and the distant sounds of traffic from the streets below. "You're already married," he repeated slowly, his voice hollow. "To another man?" "Technically, yes, but technically." The word exploded from his mouth like a gunshot. "There's no technically in marriage, Nihar. You either are or you aren't." Nihar scrambled to explain through her tears. "Arjun, please listen. That marriage meant nothing. We were young, foolish. He became abusive, controlling. I left him because I couldn't bear—" "You left him?" Arjun's laugh was bitter and cold. "So you ran away from one marriage and lied your way into another. Do you have any idea what you've done to my family?" The cultural weight of the situation began crushing down on him. In Mawari society, family reputation was built over generations and could be destroyed in a single day. His business partners, his social circle, his extended family, everyone would learn that Arjun Malhotra had unknowingly married another man's wife. "My mother welcomed you with Arti," he said, his voice rising with each word. "My father introduced you to our business associates as his daughter-in-law. 800 people witnessed me putting sindoor in your hair while you knew. You belonged to someone else." Nihar fell to her knees, clutching at his feet in the traditional gesture of seeking forgiveness. I'm so sorry. I wanted to tell you, but I was terrified you'd leave me. I thought if I could just get a divorce quietly—" "Get up!" Arjun jerked away from her touch. "Don't you dare touch me with the same hands that wore another man's ring." She stood shakily, mascara streaking down her cheeks. "Arjun, I love you. What we have is real. That other marriage was a mistake from my past." "A mistake?" His eyes blazed with fury. "Our entire wedding was built on lies. Every vow we took, every promise we made, all of it was fraud." As the night wore on, Arjun's anger transformed into something darker. He began pacing the room like a caged animal, muttering about family honor and social disgrace. "What will I tell my business partners? How will I face my community? They'll say Arjun Malhotra was fooled by a cheating woman." "Please, we can fix this," Nihar pleaded desperately. "I'll get the divorce immediately. No one has to know." "Everyone will know," he roared. "In our society, nothing stays hidden forever. My competitors will use this to destroy my reputation. My family's izzat will be ruined because I brought a dishonest woman into our house." The argument continued relentlessly. Arjun's words became increasingly harsh and threatening. He spoke about honor killings he had heard of, about families who had disowned daughters for bringing shame. Nihar watched in horror as the gentle man she had married transformed into someone she didn't recognize. By 3 a.m., his rage had reached dangerous levels. He threw decorative items against the walls, cursing her deception and his own blindness for trusting her. The romantic suite had become a battleground, with rose petals scattered amid broken glass and overturned furniture. "Do you think family honor is more important than individual happiness? Where are you watching from? Drop your location below." Right now, thousands of people are trapped between family honor and their own happiness. Stories like this can save lives, but only if they're heard. Subscribing keeps these stories alive. If you decide not to, then go to the comments and tell us. Why choose silence over awareness? As dawn approached, Arjun's anger had transformed into something far more dangerous and deadly. At 4:30 a.m., something inside Arjun finally shattered completely. Nihar had collapsed on the floor, exhausted from hours of pleading and explaining. Her voice had grown hoarse from begging for forgiveness that would never come. The weight of guilt, fear, and desperation had drained every ounce of strength from her body. Arjun stood motionless near the window, staring at the first hints of sunrise creeping across Jaipur's skyline. In a few hours, his family would call to ask how their first night went. His business associates would congratulate him on his beautiful new wife. The servants would bring breakfast for the happy couple, but there would be no happy couple. His eyes fell upon the ornate ceremonial sword that had been gifted to him during the wedding ceremonies. A traditional symbol meant to represent a husband's sacred duty to protect his wife from all harm. The irony wasn't lost on him. This weapon, blessed by priests and touched by holy water, had been intended as a symbol of his devotion and protection. "I trusted you," he whispered, his voice eerily calm. "My family trusted you. We welcomed you into our home, our hearts, our future." Nihar looked up weakly, sensing the dangerous shift in his tone. "Arjun, please. Do you understand what you've stolen from me?" he continued, lifting the sword from its ceremonial stand. The metal gleamed in the candlelight, its intricate engravings catching the flickering flames. "My honor, my family's reputation, my ability to ever trust again." Terror flooded Nihar's eyes as she realized his intentions. She tried to crawl backward, but her heavy wedding lehenga tangled around her legs. "No, Arjun, please, think about what you're doing." But rational thought had abandoned him completely. In his mind, he wasn't about to commit murder. He was reclaiming his honor, protecting his family's name, and punishing the woman who had made a mockery of everything sacred. The act itself was swift and brutal. The same hands that had gently placed the Mangal Sutra around her neck just hours earlier now wielded the ceremonial sword with devastating finality. The romantic suite, decorated for love and new beginnings, became the scene of unthinkable violence. When the deed was done, Arjun stood over Nihar's body, the sword still in his hands. Reality crashed down on him like a collapsing building. The woman he had promised to cherish and protect lay lifeless at his feet. The bride who had smiled at him during their wedding vows would never smile again. His transformation was complete. from loving groom to cold-blooded killer in less than 12 hours. The man who had danced at his sangeet and fed sweets to his new wife had become something unrecognizable even to himself. Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. If you are enjoying this content, share it with your loved ones to protect them from the same tragedy happening to them in the future. The sun rose over Jaipur, but for the Malhotra and Sharma families, darkness had only just begun. At 9 a.m., hotel staff knocked on the suite door to deliver breakfast for the newlyweds. When no one answered, they used their master key, expecting to find a sleeping couple. Instead, they discovered a scene that would haunt them for the rest of their lives. The police arrived within minutes, cordoning off the blood-stained suite that just hours earlier had been decorated for love and celebration. Inspector Rajesh Verma, a veteran officer with 20 years of experience, later admitted he had never encountered such a shocking contrast between expectation and reality. Arjun was found sitting calmly on the hotel balcony, still wearing his wedding clothes, the ceremonial sword beside him. He offered no resistance when officers placed him under arrest. His only words were, "She lied to my family. She destroyed our honor." The news spread through Jaipur like wildfire. By afternoon, both the Malhotra and Sharma residences were surrounded by relatives, neighbors, and media personnel. Kavita Malhotra collapsed upon hearing about her son's arrest, while Suresh Malhotra locked himself in his study, refusing to speak to anyone. In Ajmer, Nihar's parents received the devastating call that would shatter their world forever. Ramesh Sharma, who had proudly performed his daughter's bidai just yesterday, now faced the unimaginable task of claiming her body. Sunita Sharma was hospitalized due to shock and refused to believe the news for several days. The case divided public opinion sharply. Traditional voices blamed Nihar for deceiving an honorable family and bringing shame upon the institution of marriage. Online forums buzzed with comments like, "She got what she deserved for lying," and "This is why arranged marriages should investigate thoroughly." However, women's rights activists and progressive thinkers condemned the brutal murder, organizing protests demanding justice for Nihar. Social media campaigns emerged with hashtags calling attention to honor-based violence and the impossible situations many Indian women face. Regional newspapers ran competing headlines. "Bride's deception leads to wedding night tragedy" versus "Honor killing shocks Rajasthan's elite society." Television debates featured heated arguments between traditionalists defending family values and reformists calling for societal change. The legal proceedings moved swiftly. Arjun's confession and the overwhelming evidence made the case straightforward for prosecutors. His family hired expensive lawyers who argued temporary insanity and extreme provocation, but the judge remained unconvinced. During the trial, details of Nihar's previous marriage emerged publicly, further dividing opinions. Some viewed her as a victim of circumstances who deserved compassion, while others maintained she had brought tragedy upon herself through dishonesty. After a 6-month trial, Arjun Malhotra was sentenced to life imprisonment for murder. As he was led away in handcuffs, his mother wept openly, having lost both her daughter-in-law and son in a single night of rage. The Malhotra textile business suffered irreparable damage to its reputation. Many clients cancelled contracts, unable to associate with a family involved in such scandal. The Sharmas quietly moved away from Ajmer, unable to bear the constant whispers and judgmental stares from their community. Who do you think is more at fault? Nihar for hiding the truth, or Arjun for his violent reaction? Nihar can't tell her side of the story anymore, but you can make sure her voice, and others like hers, isn't buried. Hit subscribe right now. If you won't, then at least explain in the comments why you'd let her story die unheard. Nihar Sharma's tragic death exposes the deadly cost of a society that values reputation over human life. In conservative communities across India, countless young women face impossible choices between family honor and personal truth. The pressure to maintain appearances creates a culture where secrets fester like hidden wounds, eventually exploding with devastating consequences. This case highlights the dangerous intersection of arranged marriages and communication barriers. Nihar felt trapped between disappointing her parents and deceiving her future husband. Neither choice offered safety. Her fear of rejection led to a deception that cost her everything, while Arjun's obsession with family prestige turned him from protector to killer in mere hours. The concept of izzat, family honor, becomes toxic when it demands perfection from human beings who are inherently flawed. Arjun's violent response wasn't born from genuine betrayal, but from terror of social judgment. His business reputation mattered more than his wife's life. This warped value system transforms love into ownership and marriage into performance. Honest communication could have prevented this tragedy. If Nihar had felt safe to reveal her past during their courtship, or if Arjun had possessed the emotional maturity to handle difficult truths, both might be alive today. Instead, societal expectations created walls of silence that proved fatal. The generational clash between traditional values and modern realities continues claiming lives. Young Indians navigate between arranged marriages and personal choice, joint family systems and individual dreams, community approval and authentic relationships. Without open dialogue and evolving mindsets, more families will face similar devastation. This story demands reflection on our collective responsibility. When we judge women harshly for past relationships, we create the very conditions that force them into dangerous deceptions. When we teach men that their worth depends on controlling women's choices, we manufacture potential killers. Change requires courage, from families willing to prioritize their children's safety over social status, from communities ready to embrace compassion over judgment, and from individuals brave enough to choose truth over convenience. What lessons can we learn from this tragic story? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you've watched this far and still haven't subscribed, ask yourself, why? What's holding you back from ensuring stories like this don't vanish into silence? Subscribing costs nothing, but ignoring could mean the next tragedy goes untold. If you still won't subscribe, the least you can do is tell us why in the comments.